Underground, secrets are hidden that can change our understanding of history. Fossils of gigantic dinosaurs, lost treasures, and even ancient cities in which bodies still remain. But that is only the beginning. In this video, we will reveal 20 of the most astonishing finds that have been discovered beneath the earth, and they are capable of shocking even the most experienced archaeologists. You are on the TopFacts channel. Enjoy watching. Simon Mark, a 37-year-old resident of Luton, became famous all over the world after he made an unusual discovery right beneath his car. It all began when he thought his vehicle had rolled onto a flower bed, but when the wheels of his black car became stuck in a strange hole near his house, he called for help from his father, Gerald. After they began clearing away dirt and debris, they realized they were standing at the entrance to a Second World War air raid shelter. Once inside, they understood that Simon's house stood directly on top of this refuge. It soon turned out that it was not just a small chamber, but an entire two-room bunker. Their 400,000-pound house was in fact built upon an historic site, a meticulously preserved wartime air raid shelter. After the event, Simon and his father searched for information on the internet and learned that many such refugees had been built in the neighborhood. The shelter beneath their home was in excellent condition, and, in Simon's opinion, the previous owners decided to construct it after a German bomb exploded dangerously close to the house, filling them with fear for their safety. The Forgotten Franklin expedition was an ill-fated British voyage to the Arctic led by Captain Sir John Franklin. He set sail in 1845. Franklin was a Royal Navy officer and seasoned explorer who had already taken part in 3 Arctic expeditions, 2 of which he commanded. His 4th and final expedition began when he was 59 years old, with the goal of navigating and charting the last unsurveyed segment of the Northwest Passage. Every member of the expedition, including Franklin and his 128 sailors, perished when their ships became trapped in ice in Victoria Strait, near King William Island in the Canadian Arctic. Fast forward to 1989, and Brian Spensley, the great-grandson of one of the sailors named John Hartnell, set out to find his ancestor's grave. What scientists found inside the coffin astonished the entire world. Approaching Beechy Island off the coast of Nunavut, they found 3 graves containing sailors from the expedition, including Captain Franklin. When they began digging, they discovered that the bodies had not decomposed. They retained their form, skin, hair, teeth, and even eyes. Imagine looking into the face of your great-great-grand-uncle, smiling after 144 years in the grave. This Northern Californian couple can justly consider themselves incredibly lucky, for they found a real treasure. They were walking their dog on their own property in the so-called gold country when they came upon extremely rare gold coins, still in good condition, buried beneath an old tree. 1,427 coins were found, and although their face value is about $27,000, some are so rare that each coin could be worth up to $1 million. Even if the coins had carried no such premium, the find would still have been a genuine gold mine. The treasure most likely belonged to a private collector, perhaps hidden in response to the assassination of Lincoln. All that is known about the couple is that they have lived on the property for several years and prefer to remain anonymous. The Valley of the Whales is a region in Egypt's Fayum Governorate in the Western Desert that contains important fossils of the ancestors of modern whales. The site was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in July 2005. These paleontological remains are among the principal proofs of the evolutionary process, showing how animals that once lived on land became marine creatures, turning into the whales of today. The valley is the most important place on Earth for demonstrating this evolutionary transition, displaying many fossils that lived more than 30 million years ago. One of the first fossils encountered at the entrance to Wadi al-Hitan is Dorudon. a small, primitive whale about 5 meters long. This creature lay halfway between its terrestrial forebears and today's whales, although it was fully aquatic. Another notable fossil is Basilosaurus, a gigantic animal up to 20 meters long that lacked the filter plates of modern baleen whales and instead possessed a well-developed jaw with 44 teeth that helped it seize and tear apart its prey. Rob Paulette is a unique sculptor. His distinction lies not so much in the sculptures themselves as in the astounding underground temples carved using only hand tools. Paulette works in the sandstone of New Mexico, gradually hollowing out various chambers and adorning the walls with fanciful organic forms. His latest creation is called the Glowing Caves, a vast complex in which light enters subterranean rooms through apertures he himself cut. Paulette has created many cave sculptures and follows an almost religious process he calls the dance of extraction. He uses this term because his task is to find the most efficient way to carve walls so that they appear beautiful while remaining structurally sound. His cave is only part of the masterpiece he fashions as social art, hoping that his work can foster social change and unite different cultures living amid the beautiful landscapes of New Mexico. Miners in Serbia recently received an unexpected surprise. 3 Roman-era ships, buried in the mud of an ancient riverbed, had lain underground for at least 13 centuries. The largest is a 15-meter flat-bottomed boat probably built using ancient Roman techniques. The other 2 smaller vessels were hewn from single tree trunks, matching descriptions of pirate craft used by Slavic groups to cross the Danube and raid Roman frontiers. These craft were found near the ancient Roman city of Viminacium, once the capital of the province and a base for the Roman River fleet on the Danube, one of the greatest rivers flowing through what is now Serbia. The 3 ships lay beneath a layer of gravel 15 meters deep, covered by 7 meters of silt and clay, which preserved them well until quarrying destroyed them during excavation. Unfortunately, heavy machinery seriously damaged the vessel by between 35 and 40%. This is the largest underground city in the world. Located in Cappadocia province, Turkey, it reaches a depth of 75 meters. This vast complex consists of a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers covering an area of 445 square kilometers and could house about 20,000 people. It was discovered in the 1960s when a man renovating his home accidentally stumbled upon one of the most amazing archaeological finds in history. After demolishing a wall in his basement, he unexpectedly found a huge gallery leading to an 18-story underground city now called Derinkuyu. The first part of this astonishing city was probably excavated by the Hittites around 1400 BCE. Archaeologists began exploring the structure and managed to reach a depth of 40 meters, although it is believed that its bottom lies as deep as 85 meters. So far, 20 underground levels have been identified, and the city underwent dramatic changes over its history, especially in the Byzantine era, when massive stone doors were added that closed the city from the inside to prevent external invasion. The remains of King Richard III, who died in 1485, were found beneath an open-air car park in the British city of Leicester, inspiring researchers to new studies of this historical figure's life and fate. Investigations conducted by the University of Leicester confirmed that the damaged skeletal remains belonged to the monarch who fell at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485 and whose body had been lost for centuries. Richard III was the last English monarch to die in battle, a fact that has played a significant role in his mythologization. DNA tests established that the discovered skeleton matched a sample of DNA from a distant descendant of Richard III's sister, who lives in London. Geneticist Turi King stated that Michael Ibsen, a London carpenter, shares a rare segment of mitochondrial DNA with the skeleton. This combination of archaeological data and genetic testing confirms that the remains belong to Richard III. Tomb Kva, 62, located in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, contains the mummy of Tutin Kamoon, one of the most famous pharaohs. It was discovered in 1922 by archaeologist Howard Carter beneath the remains of workers' huts from the Ramses period, which saved it from ancient looting. The tomb comprises 4 rooms filled with myriad objects, though everything lay in disarray because of the conditions of discovery. Thanks to Carter's methodical approach, the recovery process lasted 8 years, during which more than 5,000 items were found, including the celebrated golden mask of Tutankhamun. The tomb is often called unrobbed, but that is not entirely correct. In reality, it was plundered at least twice shortly after burial, and evidence shows that the doors were breached at their upper corners and later resealed. It is estimated that 60% of the jewelry in the so-called treasury was stolen, and the items that remained were hastily packed. This historical and cultural complex in northern Laos includes thousands of stone jars scattered across the Huang Plateau in the highlands. Archaeologists believe that the jars were created between 1,500 and 2,000 years ago by the region's ancient inhabitants, whose culture and way of life remain unknown. Most excavated materials date from 500 to 800 BCE. Anthropologists and archaeologists suggest that the jars may have served as funerary urns or food storage vessels. Local legends speak of a race of giants whose king was a great warrior. After a decisive battle, he ordered the manufacture of thousands of gigantic stone jars to hold great quantities of lao lao, rice liquor, with which he invited his vassals to endless feasts. During excavations, human remains were found in one of the caves atop extensive peat bogs. Some were calcified and others reduced to ash, which also supports the funerary theory. During the Vietnam War, an American bomb damaged one of the caves that locals had used as a shelter. Until recently, Patagotitan was thought to be the largest dinosaur ever to have existed. However, a research team from Argentina's National Council for Scientific and Technical Research made a stunning discovery. Fossils of a gigantic titanosaur, a member of the sauropod family, were found in the Sierra Chata area north of Añelo in Neuquén province. This enormous dinosaur possessed a very long neck and tail, and estimates suggest its length could have reached between 20 and 25 meters, with a mass exceeding 40 tons. Some estimates propose that it could have weighed up to 100 tons. Its legs were column-like, and it lived during the Cretaceous period about 100 million years ago in South America, particularly in the Patagonian part of Argentina. On the basis of the fossils, scientists can distinguish vertebrae and several pelvic bones of the giant. Although the rest of the skeleton has not been found, the discovery provides enough evidence to draw conclusions about the animal's original size. These remains confirm that titanosaurs were probably much larger than previously believed, shattering size records for sauropods. In 2010, the tomb of Penta Ware was unveiled after it had lain hidden for more than a century. The tomb was first found in 1885 but was reburied by shifting desert sands, and only after more than 100 years could archaeologists open it again. The funerary monument of a high-ranking Egyptian official concealed a secret revealed many years later. While clearing the tomb, archaeologists found several broken vessels, one of which contained a hardened substance inside. Studies showed that it was cheese. This is one of the oldest food products ever found on Earth. The cheese was discovered in a jar, and archaeologists assumed it was a foodstuff given the method of preservation and the substance's position. Yet, the test results were startling. The cheese contained the dangerous bacterium that causes brucellosis, transmitted from animals to humans through consumption of unpasteurized dairy products. ISIS extremists take pride in destroying ancient shrines and artifacts. They love the activity so much that they post videos on their social media pages so the whole world knows how they obliterate their own heritage. Yet, contrary to their intentions, they accidentally unearthed treasures of antiquity hidden beneath the earth. These objects were found in eastern Mosul, Iraq's second-largest city, in tunnels that the extremists dug under the Nabi Yunus shrine, whose name means Prophet Jonah in Arabic. The artifacts date from the Assyrian period, an important Mesopotamian civilization that lasted from the 21st century BCE to the 7th century CE. They were discovered while ISIS was tunneling, and archaeologists are now convinced that they have been found at a historically significant site. Inside the tunnels were statues and inscriptions left by the Assyrians, providing valuable information about the life and culture of this ancient civilization. These finds also give the Iraqi people a sense of revenge because ISIS completely destroyed the Mosul Museum when it seized the city. Archaeologists discovered 7 pharaonic tombs containing cat mummies. The find was made in the rocky area surrounding the funerary complex of Uzurkaf in the Saqqara necropolis near Cairo. According to the Minister of Antiquities, 100 wooden statues covered in gold leaf were also found, as well as a bronze sculpture depicting the cat goddess Bastet, who was considered a protector against evil and a goddess of fertility. In addition, scarab mummies were found, the first such discovery in the region. In ancient Egypt, cats and other pets lived in the homes of the wealthy and were also exported to other countries. Animals played an important role in the worship of the gods, and researchers believe that tens of millions of animals were mummified. A collection of gilded wooden statues of a lion, a cow, and a falcon, as well as scarabs with religious significance, representing the sun, god Ra, was also uncovered. People were mummified to preserve their bodies for the afterlife, while animals were mummified as religious offerings. In addition, wooden sarcophagi in the shapes of snakes and crocodiles and hundreds of amulets dedicated to various gods were found. When you place your foot on an anthill, do you realize that your body rests upon a city-state the size of a human metropolis? This astonishing structure is so complex that it rivals the greatest cities on Earth. Many scientists consider anthills to behave like superorganisms. In this breathtaking documentary, you can see how researchers excavated an abandoned ant colony in Brazil. The excavation lasted several weeks and revealed a gigantic citadel with roads, pathways, and underground gardens. The only human analog to this construction is the Great Wall of China. It is thought that this subterranean megalopolis was home to one of the largest ant colonies in the world. However, the exact reason the ants left remains unknown. Researchers poured 10 tons of concrete into the small surface openings that served as ventilation shafts for the ants to display the intricate tunnel system. It was found that this underground city covers an area of 500 square meters and extends 8 meters down. One can clearly see the high level of organization that these creatures possessed when building their subterranean empire. The network was carefully designed to ensure good ventilation and minimal transport routes. It is no wonder that ants are considered the second most complex social group on Earth, surpassed only by humans. Egyptian and German archaeologists discovered fragments of a gigantic statue of Ramses II, one of the most powerful pharaohs of the 19th dynasty, in a muddy pit in Cairo, Egypt's capital. The discovery occurred in the working-class district of Mataraya, and soon the extraction of the pharaoh's statue fragments more than 3,000 years old, began. The statue is made of quartzite, a hard stone consisting mainly of quartz grains. So far, pieces of the torso, head, crown, and eyes have been retrieved. Despite criticism from Egyptian media, who were concerned that heavy construction machinery might damage the ancient monument, the authorities asserted that such an excavator was used only to lift the head, the heaviest part, while wooden and cork supports protected the other pieces. The statue was found in a courtyard near the ruins of a sun temple built by Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great. He ruled Egypt for about 68 years, making his reign one of the longest, from 1279 to 1213 BCE. This period marked the height of Egypt's imperial power. The AngloSaxon treasure unearthed underground in a field in Staffordshire is regarded as one of the greatest archaeological discoveries on the British Isles. It consists of 1,500 items of gold and silver that experts estimate date to the 7th century CE. The find was made by Terry Herbert, an amateur who searched for treasure with a metal detector. What he found in a friend's field weighs about 5 kilograms and includes military items such as sword hilts and scabbard fittings, along with gold plates inset with gemstones. Before this, the largest known Anglo-Saxon treasure had been the Sutton Hoo hoard, weighing only 1.5 kilograms, discovered in 1939 in Suffolk. Archaeologists working with the treasure were astounded and, to be honest, a little frightened by the finds. Terry Herbert had been searching for such items for 18 years, using a metal detector, and was in complete shock when he unearthed hundreds of gold artifacts. The discovery takes us back to a little-known time in England's history, the era between the fall of the Roman Empire and the height of the Anglo-Saxon Age. Now it is time for an unusual subject that shocked scientists. They were found in Asia. This is not merely a grave, but an entire epic buried complex with many bodies. They all lie peacefully, but it is difficult to say whether they were buried alive or simply laid there in that manner. Who were these people? And why were they interred here? We may never know. Write your thoughts in the comments if you have any ideas on the matter. James Bristol was digging on his soybean field in southern Michigan when his excavator struck a strange metallic structure covered in dirt. When he and his friend arrived, they realized it was not a fence at all, but part of the pelvis of an ancient woolly mammoth that had lived about 15,000 years ago. A team of paleontologists from the University of Michigan, using an excavator, managed to extract roughly 20% of the mammoth's skeleton, including the skull, 2 tusks, several vertebrae, ribs, and a shoulder blade. Researchers now suspect that people may have been nearby, perhaps butchering the mammoth and storing its meat for the future. Near the remains, 3 stones the size of basketballs were found. They could have served as anchors to hold the mammoth carcass in a pond. Mammoths and mastodons, elephant-like creatures, roamed North America until they disappeared about 11,700 years ago. About 300 mastodons and 30 mammoths have already been found in Michigan, but the mammoth remains discovered in Bristol's field are much more complete than any previous finds. Historical records claim that the tomb of Huang is the richest burial in history. It is said that entire palaces filled with countless treasures lie within its depths. Huang was the first emperor of China, and he ascended the throne when he was only 13 years old. Immediately afterwards, he began building his mysterious tomb, which was constructed over 38 years by 700,000 workers. The subterranean mausoleum of Emperor Qin was discovered in 1974 by 5 brothers who were guarding the tomb itself. 7,000 terracotta warriors stood guard at the entrance to the burial chamber, protecting their lord for all eternity. At the doorway to the chamber, traps were installed that fired arrows to kill anyone who dared enter. And what do you think? Would you go in despite such threats? When the 5 brothers entered, they began to feel ill, and soon after the excavation, all of them died under mysterious circumstances. In the chamber with the terracotta warriors, a model of 2 rivers of China had been recreated. But it is believed that instead of water, they flowed with liquid mercury, which could kill anyone who stepped in, or at least drive him insane forever. Hermes Trismegistus, the ancient Egyptian moon god, wrote about a mysterious library of knowledge located beneath the paws of the Great Sphinx. Legend says that this library preserved the earliest knowledge of alchemy, astronomy, mathematics, magic, and medicine. To this day, no one has managed to find the Hall of Records, which was rumored to be connected with the burial chambers of the Saqqara Pyramid, where pharaohs took their knowledge into the afterlife. American healer Edgar Cayce, while in a trance, claimed that he had known about the library from a past life when he was a priest in sunken Atlantis. He said that a secret passage led from the Sphinx's right paw to an underground chamber. Despite all attempts to locate this enigmatic hall, no one has yet discovered it. Many archaeologists and researchers continue to try to solve the mystery, and perhaps in the future we shall learn more about it. These are the kinds of secrets our planet hides. If you like this and want to see the next part, something similar, then write about it in the comments. Give a like, subscribe to the channel, and right now watch one of the 2 videos that have appeared on your screen. I assure you, you will definitely enjoy it.